All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we are week number 3 of the Area 51 Racing League Superspeedway Series here tonight at Daytona. And say drivers putting down their qualifying laps right now. But you can see up in front we got the points for this so far. This with these first 2 races. Kevin Freeze, Raymond Rittenauer getting the 2 wins of the season thus far. But you see a lot of drivers having some really solid starts as well. You see Eric Laurie, Dale Willoughby, Gabe Butler. They've had top 5s in both races as well. And then you got Todd Siebels in 6th. Jim Brooks 7th. Matt Quick in 8th. Tied with David Thatcher and Jack Walls. And so that's going to actually be right now a 3-way tie for our top 10 in the points positions here. So right now, like I said, qualifying going on at the moment. So we're going to let everybody kind of finish up their qualifying laps here, and then we will go ahead and get over our starting grid. But Dale, as always, pleasure to have you up here with me. And I'll say kind of we ran Talladega 2 weeks in a row. Now we're back to Daytona for a week. And I'll say it's going to be a very, very familiar game for these guys with the track like this compared to Talladega, except everything just a little bit more squished together with this track being just that little bit narrower than Talladega. But it kind of adds a whole new dimension, I feel like, to these plate races.
Yeah, it does. It kind of reduces the opportunities. You talk about the width of the track, how narrow it is. There is a third lane there, but it's dangerous to get clean up on the wall and have 2 cars stacked in below you. Especially, listen to guys in practice, talking to a few drivers. Early on, for about the first 3 or 4 laps, they're saying the car is not really stable, and that's mainly due to the cold track temps. The pressure's not building up in the cars quite like they would, at a warmer track, obviously. So they're going to be cautious early on just because of those 2 things.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to mention. Like I said, is you're right. I say it's 66 degrees ambient, 64 degrees ambient, 66 degrees track temperature. So actually, let's pull up our race info here for tonight. So you can see right there, we've got the Area 51 Super Speedway Series, 75 laps tonight here at Daytona. Like I mentioned, like you see right there, 66 on the temp, and then 64 on the temp, 66 on the track. So definitely not a warm one for this one tonight. So it's gonna be very interesting. The other thing I wonder if it might play a role is the car temps. I'd say maybe we'll see the oil water temps. Maybe those are going to be a little cooler. Maybe it's going to allow these guys to push just that little bit longer. Because these drivers are going to take advantage of any small opportunity they can to get the most out of these cars.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple guys were up trying, the very top line, and that's one of the things they talked about was how the temps were building the car. And when you're right up there on the wall, running above the dotted white line, the temps were building up way quicker than they had expected. So I'm interested to see when they get 2 by 2, how that's going to affect everything.
Yeah, exactly right. So qualifying just about completed here. So definitely want to again, good evening everyone, and especially good evening Matt Wagner. Always nice to see you up on the chat here. So I had some fun doing some practice with you for Tuesday night. Say that the Indy Series over with Area 51 going to be running at Moseport next week on Tuesday. That is going to be a fun one for those guys. It's a very fast, a lot of elevation changes to that track, so those guys are going to have to be working really hard on Tuesday night to make some laps over there. But for now, we got 75 laps at the minimum here at Daytona, and I believe qualifying has just completed, so we're going to pull up our starting grid for tonight. All right, there we are. So say right now on the pole position, it's going to be the 87 of Raymond Rittenauer by 7 thousandths of a second over Gabe Butler. In third is Matt Quick, Kevin Hash fourth, Dale Willoughby is rounding out our top 5. Then 6 through 12, you got Mark Brown, Robert DuPont, Bud Steele, Dean Wilkinson, Todd Merkel, Charles Johnson, and Quabi Brooks. 13th through 24th, you've got Michael Spell, Bobby Hash, Danny J, Eric Laurie, Skylar Brown, Jack Walls, Alberto Lopez, Jim Brooks, Donnie Lyons, Todd Siebels, John Brill, and Dave Thatcher in 24th. And then in 25th position is the 25 of Peter Travica. Alright, so wait for everybody to finish gridding up here, and then we will get things underway here again. Right now, everybody's just kind of getting fully gridded, and then we will get things rolling with just a minute. And yeah, you're exactly right, Matt. Definitely a lot of thousandths of a second, say between qualifying, between races. Say these Area 51 guys, there have been a lot of close races, and on Thursday nights on the Premier Series, it's been all about fuel mileage on those two races so far, with Larry Yingling taking the wins on both of those. Last two times, Larry's able to stretch that fuel tank just that little bit further than the other guys, and he's been able to kind of sneak away and grab those wins. So, yeah, a little bit of everything with these first three races. Like you're right, though. Say I believe it was week number 2, was 0.02 of a second, and then last week with that 0.00 at the line. So you can't cut that any closer if you tried to. All right, drivers heading out of the pits here, take the formation lap, and we will get going in just a moment. You see all the cars here heading off on the track. And yeah, let's say, like I said, you see right there was that Dave Thatcher. He decided he didn't want anything to do with that cone, so I don't know what the cone did to hurt him, but luckily the cone looks like it's been recovered back into a safe position. But maybe if we get an opportunity to talk to Dave, we can see what he's got against that cone in that 420 car.
Kind of interesting to see this top 5 lineup here. You know, we've seen these guys start cleaning the back, start from the pits, but we don't see them start up front and grouped up like this too often.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of what the strategy is going to be for these guys. Do they try to kind of keep momentum up front? Do they go ahead and maybe roll to the back? We saw one week where they got a lap lead and they go straight to the back at Talladega. So I wonder, will we see that again tonight, or maybe we'll see something a little different from these guys? Say with this being Daytona, it's a little narrower than Talladega, so that third line's a little harder to make happen. So I kind of wonder if this might be one of those races where they might opt to try to keep that track position, try to control the field. Then you have to wonder at some point if you get somebody in that outside line, say, you know what, I want to make something happen on the third line, and then we'll see if that comes into play. But right now, Raymond Renner are going to lead the field to the green flag, and we are underway 75 laps here at Daytona.
Yeah, they're both pretty even. I mean, they obviously know when a green flag is going to drop. The next one, assuming one of these guys aren't leading, will be on the leader, but able to control the field here the way they're stacked up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You mentioned, Dale's with the Area 51 League. That initial start is on the green flag. However, from there on, any restarts afterwards, I'll say the leader has control of that restart, so they can go pretty much as early or as late as they want once that pace car enters the pit road. So you see right off the bat, though, that one David Butler just able to clear the front of that 87 car, Raymond Rittenauer. He's going to drop to the inside line, which now has got Kevin Hash leading that top group in that 03 car. And he's got Mark Brown in that 73 right behind him, working that top side and getting a good run to boot.
Yeah, Kevin Hash was really pushing Gabe Butler, and how I know they was pushing super hard is because Matt Quick was up on Raymond Rittenauer's bumper like you don't see Matt Quick do very often. So I mean, both lines were definitely shoving real hard there.
Yeah, so I'm going to be watching Matt Quick. We always talk about him week in and week out about the kind of the fuel savings and all that. I mean, we know he can run fast when he needs to, when he wants to. But I think now with Raymond Rittenauer being behind the one of Gabe Butler, you see that Matt Quick, he's got about that half a car length distance between himself and Raymond. And that's, I think, right now, that's going to be kind of peak fuel save mode right now for that 89 car. Because we've seen week in and week out, he's usually able to sneak another lap or so over the majority of the field here. Which right now, like we talked about, pretty much right now we got the pace laps going as pretty much as they qualified. With right now the only difference pretty much being the one in the 87 switching positions. Otherwise, pretty much everybody running 2x2, roughly around where they qualified at the moment.
Yeah, you talk about saving fuel. Last week it was Matt Quick and Dale Willoughby running together, and it's how they are tonight on the bottom lane. And it's real easy for Dale to save fuel when you know how good Matt is at it. All he's got to do is ride behind him and let Matt Quick do the work and do the figuring. Yeah,
it's a really good point, and it's just one of those things too where there's always those little tips, little tricks you can do to save maybe a little better than somebody else. I mean, there's been days where I'll be trying to save fuel and someone will still find a way to stretch more than me, and you kind of go back like, what am I doing wrong compared to them? And it's just those little things that they learn. I mean, there's always obviously a couple approaches you can take, which maybe get that big run, then you clutch it, or just try to stay, let's say, 3/4, maybe 80% throttle, and really not try to deviate from that very much, where you don't have to push the throttle down all the way to hold the draft. So yeah, there's a lot of definite options that you can choose from. But right now you can see everybody's holding nice and solid here, 2x2 as they go down the back.
Mark Brown's up there really pushing on Kevin Hash, but right now it's just not really enough.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the tough part is with Mark Brown. I mean, he's going to do everything he can, obviously, to try to get the 0-3 to the front, which will then allow him to push himself to the front as well. But it's like you can only do that for so long until you start to worry about those temps yourself in your car. So you can see he's kind of staggered off just a little bit to the right here as we're riding on the roof of that 73 car. So he's trying to, like I said, he's trying to get a little bit of air probably to the car, and then I think once he gets that, then he'll probably drop back and try to get another big push. And I think, like you mentioned as well, it sounds like the car's a little sketchy in those first couple laps. And you see he gives him a nice little shot there down the back. I think these guys also just trying to really feel things out, get some temps in those tires. So it might take a few more laps than usual, and then that might be the time to really starting to dice it up a little bit more.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, that was the big complaint out of this car is they've said it felt unstable for about the first 3 or 4 laps, and like I say, it's cold track temps. iRacing has modeled the sidewall of this tire very well, so when it is cold, the tire's cold, it's not up to temp. That sidewall is very soft, and you can actually feel that in the wheel, through the force feedback that the sidewall may be rolling over a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So you'll be curious to see if things change as the run progresses. You see right now everybody's still running pretty much the 2x2 like we talked about, and that's the thing. That's what these guys do. They run this stuff week in and week out. They know kind of what to expect, and they're familiar with all the drives. Again, there's always a few new names, new faces, but as a whole, this is a pretty usual group that they've been running with one another for a few seasons now. And that's what we see here, that I'd say these guys really try to make their magic happen during the pit stop cycle. And that's, I think, where the strategy is going to unfold again tonight. Right now we're only on lap number 7 here of 75. So they can go probably another, let's say about 15, I would guess, laps to get to about 21, 22. Maybe see some stretch it out to about 23 or so, I would guess. I'd say I'd be pointing at the 89 of Matt Quick on that side of things, but yeah, right now I think everybody's just kind of wait. As I say, that big move there, you saw Alberto Lopez had to really jump off, and I think that pushed Danny Lyons off the track there in that. Trying to find him here in the 79 car. He did, and unfortunately, that's going to get him way off the draft here. Let's go back and take a look here. We're watching Alberto Lopez in the 20. Oh, he gets a little bit of a shot. He had to check up for the car in front of him, and then you see just a little bit of contact, maybe a little net code as well. And unfortunately for that 79, Danny Lyons does a little bit of off-roading, almost tries to take the Daytona 24 road course bus stop chicane there, but is able to get it back on track here. And so great job by him to hang on to that car, keep in one piece, but unfortunately though, that sends him way off the draft, and now he is about a full straightaway behind the field.
Yeah, going to cost him the draft, and it's also going to cost him just a ton of that fuel mileage we were just talking about. So not a very favorable condition for Donnie Lyons. And when you consider how green these races normally go, he could be in big trouble.
Yeah, so say right now, he's just dropping and dropping. I mean, obviously with what happened that last lap, he ran about 6 seconds slower than the group. Now that he's able to get kind of back to his own stuff, he's still going to be way off the pace though. But right now, the other driver right now, right at the tail end of the group, is that 45 of Todd Siebels. Still in the draft. You always get a little nervous about being too close, or I should say too far from that the group if you're that last car in that draft. But right now is still, I think, holding in a pretty safe position here. So right now, I would say for the most part, everybody's gained about +2, maybe +3 spots from other qualifying. Some of the bigger movers right now are the 83 of Jack Wallace. He's in that Twisted Tea car up on the top side, and then right in front of him, actually +7 at the moment, is that 51 of Jim Brooks. Jim right now is looks like he's working his way towards the front. He looks like he's also, I think, starting to try to line up with some of those people that he's familiar with, and leading off, it looks like it's gonna be the 53 Quabi Brooks. Maybe tries to do something with him. And looks like we got a fan of the number 45. Let's pull him up on screen. Siebels right there. And so yeah, I think Todd, he's just playing it, kind of playing it cool right now. I think he's going for fuel safe, stay out of trouble. He's got nobody behind him in case if there is any contact, he's in a perfect spot to avoid any trouble. So I think Todd Siebels right now playing the long game in that 35 machine.
Yeah, he understands. I mean, still a lot of racing left, and Todd's one of the guys, like we've seen him do this before. He can get up here, he can run the top line and get back in position to, possibly lead this thing. We've seen him run up front, last year a little bit, so not too worried about him just yet.
Yeah, exactly right. I do need to mention the 79 Donnie Lines. He did hit pit road. He's just now coming out of the pits as the field goes on by, so I believe that's going to put him at least one down in that 79, unfortunately. Let's say right now is the only car a lap down, so this is where again you kind of hope for that maybe that timely yellow maybe gets him back into the thick of things. But right now everybody's still holding pretty steady here 2 by 2, but I think we're going to start seeing the big moves. It's probably going to be in about, I'd say, just around that 10 lap mark from now. I think that's when we'll start seeing some moves happen when everybody starts kind of jockeying toward that track position before the first set of pit stops.
Yeah, and if I'm these guys a little further back on a high line, probably from about Kawabe Brooks on back, I'd start trying to get to the bottom and stretch this thing out because they're not gaining any time up top. The top line is not moving forward. So all they're doing is sitting up there and burning fuel.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I mean, obviously they're probably able to roll out of the throttle a little bit, like you said, where probably Jim Brooks are on that top line. But again, I mean, they're running a further distance. They're running that middle top groove, so they're going to be driving a little further than the inside line is. And usually the inside line, they usually check up that little bit more. So if you're in the mid-pack, like right now, I'd say around, let's say, Bobby Cash or so in that 3 car, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to kind of have some big lifts and be able to save a lot of fuel in those opportunities where maybe the inside line checks up a bit. And so you really have to roll out of the throttle, and that'll really save fuel in those cars. So the top line, the momentum usually stays kind of up a little bit compared to the inside line. So I think, like you said, I think that's where the bottom line might have a little bit of benefit, which I think pretty much for the most part, all the guys that started on the inside road, they have really not dropped off that inside line.
Yeah, and Bud Steele realized what was going on. He made a big move in front of Matt Quick, puts him at 3rd car there on the bottom line now.
Yeah, exactly right. So Matt was keeping a pretty decent gap to the guys around him. And yeah, so Bud was able to capitalize and go ahead and grab that spot. You saw for just a moment there's maybe just enough room for Todd to do the same. You saw there, Bud just catch the apron a little bit there. Was able to really hold on to it nicely there. But as I saw just about a car length of a gap between the two to maybe try to squeeze in between the 6 and the 89. Almost saw it again there for just a moment. But as soon as that opening got just maybe big enough, Matt Quick made sure to kind of get the gas on a little harder to close that door and keep his track position here.
Yeah, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe he's leaving that gap there so
for that
so right there. Yeah, I was going to say so his teammate Kevin Hash could get down there. Like I say, in preparation for here in about 6-7 laps, we're going to see green flag pit stops. Hopefully
yeah,
green flag.
And this might be also though where we start seeing strategy change, because last week we saw they kind of try to pit this about evenly, where they would try to run basically the 3-stop strategy, and they would split the pit stops evenly. So I wonder we might actually even see these guys in before their actual window opens. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on Gabe Butler, Raymond Rittenauer company, because they might be trying to maybe play a little different fuel strategy, maybe try to catch these guys off guard a little bit. So what I do look for now though is going to be I'm going to start watching that 73 Mark Brown, just Todd Merkel. Do they start trying to pick up the pace? Do they try to lock onto one another and start really pushing that outside line? Because you can see they've kind of fallen back a little bit, but I think now is going to be a good opportunity for them to make that big move and try to get that momentum shifted towards their side on the top.
Yeah, I really think they have to. I mean, they've spent all that time up there. They burn a lot more fuel. I think you got to go up there and at least try to get the bonus point for a lap led.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is those bonus points in right now? I believe it's pretty much just been the one that Gabe Butler who's been able to get that bonus point. Took the lead pretty much out of 4 on lap number 1. So right now I think the one is really the only leader thus far tonight. And now you do see that momentum is starting to shift. Dale, you see that 73 car. He's worked his way up next to the 6 of Bud Steele, and was just about to get to the 87 Raymond Rittenauer. So we'll see if that momentum off of 4, or 2, I should say, see if that starts to pull them that little bit further forward.
You know, I watched Dale Willoughby in practice using a side draft as a single car to gain quite a bit of momentum on the bottom line. And I think if the 73 could get down there a little closer to Raymond Rittenauer, to Bud Steele, I think it would really be advantageous for this top line. The problem is with the connection issues, with as much as you see these cars moving around, can be very, very risky.
Yeah, so yeah, movement and like I said, yeah, there's always those little things that that we kind of have to deal with as online racers compared to the real deal. Say and stuff that they have to deal with that we don't have to deal with, of course. But you're right. I mean, net code, things like that. Say that doesn't exist in the real world, but unfortunately, it's a reality for us, and so we always have to kind of be just a little bit more cautious on those types of situations here. And right now, though, you can see like he is starting to slowly but surely creep his way forward. Like I said, not taking any big risk right now, kind of running that middle line, still giving Raymond plenty of room to have some wiggle room should he need it, but definitely trying to keep them pinched just a little lower to make sure he can kind of shorten his distance around the track as well.
Yeah, if the 53 of Kwabi Brooks can close in on Todd just a little bit more and hold his car there, it'll help Todd get back to the 73's bumper, and then they'll be able to get up here and make a pass.
And that's a really good point, Dale. It's not all about just the first two cars in that draft. That third car plays a big role as well, because, like you said, that even if you're not physically pushing, the air does a little bit too. So, like you said, the closer the 53 of Kwabi Brooks is to the 2 car of Todd Merkel, that's going to help propel that 2 forward towards the 73 of Mark Brown. So, it takes a little bit of everybody in these groups to make that momentum happen, like you're mentioning there. And so yeah, so right now, so you can see Kwabi is getting a big run there, but as soon as he got a little closer, you could tell that he rolled out of it just by the gap change. So I think Kwabi's kind of doing the same thing, trying to keep the track position, but also still trying to save fuel as best he can in that top group.
On lap 19, so here within the next 4 laps, pretty much everybody's going to have to pit. So we should start seeing them probably this time by, I'd say.
Yeah, so yeah, fuel window is going to be opening very soon. And so, yeah, you think about the guys who are probably the worst on fuel, the first of which I would say is going to be that one of Gabe Butler, because he's pretty much led the whole way, so he can really do no fuel savings in that one machine. So we'll keep an eye on him, see if he's going to be the first taker to hit pit road. And if he does, we're going to see definitely some people with him. It looks like he's going to go one more here, so we can at least go 20 laps for sure. So we'll see how the pace goes, and maybe the weather, so again, that slightly cooler temperatures, maybe by chance, maybe that does help the fuel mileage a little bit. Oh, actually, see a little movement there in the back. It was the 88 of Michael Spell. Looked like he had to go to the apron a little bit. Let's go back and take a look at that, because that looked like a moment there. You see Michael on the inside line. Oh, just a little bit of contact there with the car next to him. I believe that was Robert DuPont there. And you see Michael have to take to the grass here after the contact, but I believe is able to gather it back up and is able to get on track. You see there the 071 Eric Gorey gave him room to get back out on track as well, so great heads up driving by him as well. So we'll jump back up front here, but I believe this might be about the time we might see a first set of pit stops, and yep, here they come. So we've got Raymond Rittenauer, Kevin Hash, Gabe Butler, and Eric Laurie all coming in together. So it's going to be 4 drivers to bring the first set of pit stops here, coming to lap number 21, which will now cycle the lead for the moment over to Mark Brown. But say Bud Steele's kind of off on his own here on the inside line, but holding really strong with that gap. Oh, actually, I think I saw some smoke in the back. I think they stayed okay, though. I saw something, Dale. I couldn't see exactly what it was. Let me go back, see if I can maybe get a look at it here.
Look around that 3 car.
Yeah, you see the 3. Oh, just slight contact with the 15. And I don't know how that 15 car saved. That's Danny J in the 15 machine. We'll keep an eye on him and watch as he slides. And I don't think he hit anything there. And I think, unfortunately, while we're looking at that, I think we have a lot of pit stops going on here, Dale. Yeah, it is a very busy pit road right now.
It looks like, actually looking at the 3 car now, Bobby Hash, looks like him and 88 got together.
Yeah, I think we missed them. And let me go back, see if I can find it. Because, yeah, he is missing that front clip of that car during the pit stop cycle in the entry, I think. Right now, the top 3, though, somehow Robert DuPont now in the front. And then you got the 89 of Matt Quick and the 7 of Dale Willoughby right now. So we'll see if Robert's going to pit this time And yeah, and here they go again, though. Matt Quickdale will be again going full fuel save. They're going to go one lap further than the rest of these guys. But yeah, I'm still trying to see if I can find a good spot to find where that contact happened here. Let's go back a little bit. All right, we're watching the 3 of Bobby Hash. He is on the top side. Oh, and you see the 80 and Michael Spell. I think just he was still kind of in the racing line, and that's when he started getting woed down. And then, comes across the nose of Jack Walls as well in the 83 car. So Jack might have a little bit of damage. Look at Skylar Brown having to take evasive action to avoid him. Oh, unfortunately, the 45, though, Todd Siebel's nowhere for him to go. Just slides right in front of him. So that's going to give Todd some damage as well. Might be where they have to use that fast repair here.
Yeah, it was just a lack of commitment. 88 wasn't sure he wanted to go to pit lane, saw everybody else going, decided now was the time. But the problem was he had to slow down right now, and he was still on the racing surface. Within that, the 3 was not able to make it to pit lane, so he has to make a lap with the damaged car.
Yeah, exactly right. So I say jump back live, and these guys, Matt Quickdale will be, they're still staying out, Dale. They are going to work the fuel numbers here. They're going to get to that, what is that, the lap 25 mark, the third of a distance mark here in this one. As actually I say that, I see Matt Quick, he's kind of letting the 7 by. I'm wondering if he might be having to save a little bit extra because he was having to lead those couple of laps. So I suspect we'll see these two in this time around. Really impressive by them, though, for what they're doing. Actually, I also see I believe the 53 of Quabi Brooks, I believe he's had to just hit pit road again. I wonder maybe had a pass-through penalty for maybe unsafe pit exit, or maybe possibly speeding on exit.
Dale Willoughby, Matt Quick did this last week too. They stayed together, pitted together. You get a guy, that you can draft with, that can make a good pit stop and get off pit lane quick without any kind of penalties. You kind of want to stick with that person.
Yeah, exactly right. So, and it looks like they're going to come out pretty close succession to each other. But now the question is going to be, can they get these cars up to speed? So we're going to look out the back here of the number 7 of Dale Willoughby as he gets up to speed. You can see the draft pack coming up to him right now. So now it's all about hustling this car through 1 and 2 on probably 2 tires, so a little cold probably tires as well. And you can see here comes the field led by that one of Gabe Butler.
Yeah, now I go, whoa. Matt Quick got taken out by the 07 car, I believe that was.
This may not quite work out for them, Dale. I'm looking at the gap here, and I don't think they're going to tag onto the back of these guys. So I think the fuel window, fuel strategy may not quite pan out for them at this point. I think they're going to probably drop back to one another here to at least start drafting again. So you wonder now what the strategy is. Do they stay and try to run the full pace that they can? Or do they, I mean, there is a group behind them here. Say it looks like it's being led by I think the 73 of Mark Brown might be one of them. Let's go back and take a look. Yeah, you got Mark Brown here. You've got the 45 of Todd Siebels. You got the 3 and the 64. I wonder if you're those guys, do you just really clutch it almost here and fall back to these guys and start saving off of them? Because, again, if you can commit to this all the way and be able to make it just on that one more stop here, this will be, I think, worth the small amount of time lost for possibly a long-term gain.
Yeah, and it's not a bad group of guys to fall back to. You got Mark Brown, you got Todd Siebels, you got one of the Hash brothers, Bobby Hash. They're very, very comfortable in these cars on these tracks, so it might not be bad. I know it's a big gap, about 4 seconds. They're going to catch them eventually, so I think clutch it and save what you can.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out. Say, however, if they see what's going on in front of here, say they might reconsider and just say, you know what, let's just keep doing what we're doing because it is getting busy up here, and there's a lot of shuffling around going on. You see a lot of movement with these guys up front right now. We're pretty much 2 by 2 all the way through his first pack here. Right now being led now on the top side by Bud Steele, while Gabe Butler still leading the way with Kevin Hash behind him. Raymond Rittenauer in third, and on the inside line you've got the 071 of Eric Laurie.
Charles Johnson's made his way to the top line, which I think is his preferred line. We definitely see him up here a lot as he's moving or tried to move down in front of Todd Merkel in the bottom line. Wasn't quite enough room.
I think I may have had some bad info on when I was looking at the pit stop cycle of things because I was mistaken. Quabi Brooks is actually in this lead pack. I say he's still on lead lap and everything. So whatever I had seen earlier about something going on with the 53 car, I say was actually yeah, just was misplaced. So apologies on that one. So 53 is still good to go here. So he is part of this group as well. And so on the fuel side, pit side of things, these guys all up front here, all pitted within a lap of each other. The first person that pitted 2 laps later was that 07 Robert DuPont. So right now that 07 car actually is in the best fuel position than the rest of these guys by a lap as things run here.
Jim Brooks really needs to get up there on the bumper of Alberto Miguel Lopez and help that top line out as much as he can. He's got good help behind him with Skylar Brown and Quabi Brooks behind Skylar. They just need to tighten that top line up a little bit.
Yeah, and Alberto Lopez is definitely working hard on that 6 at Bud Steele here.
That one in the wall on the backstretch.
Oh yeah, Thatcher. This could bring out a yellow. He's down in the grass. We'll see if anything happens from it. Right now, still sitting there. Might be trying to take a tow. Let's go back and take a look to see what happened exactly here to Dave Thatcher. Yeah, just right all of a sudden, all on its own down the backstretch, it just kind of car lost power and lost steering almost. So not sure what exactly happened there. We'll jump back live because he's back going again. So I think may have been some sort of a technical glitch hiccup, unfortunately, for Dave there. So not what he was looking for, obviously. That's going to take him out of that lead pack as well. He was in that lead draft when that happened, so he's going to go ahead and hit pit road here. But while we were watching that, say this fight still up front still continues on, but Bud Steele's got a nose ahead right now, except with a lot of help from that 20 car.
Just a tough group of guys to pass in that bottom line.
Yeah, it really is. And like I said, I mean, these are some of the best. And I said, I mean, we went over there, we listened in on them during practice, and I mean, just the communication with these guys, be it switching, like the pit stop strategy, switching who's leading based on temperatures, just the communication, I think is it shows how well organized and how well these guys do and why they're so successful at what they do as well.
Well, that, and if you look at like Raymond Rittenauer would be a good car in that 87. If you look at his cockpit view and just watch how little movement there is in the 2 cars ahead of him versus that top line, I mean they're so smooth down.
Yeah, so we're on board now with the 87 Raymond Rittenauer. We'll watch his hands here, and that's a good point, Dale. You watch how steady the hands are through the turns, through the straightaway, and that's going to give a big inclination of just the kind of the safety and the trust you have with these guys around you. And you can see just real small inputs. Every so often you'll see maybe a little bit of a juke back and forth, but as a whole, I say there's just not a lot of wheel input in that car. He keeps it pretty much right in the same spot. So let's say we'll jump back a little further. We'll jump over to Alberto Lopez, who's been trying to push that 6 of Bud Steele. We'll see how his wheel input looks as well, which right now I must say is looking really solid in that 20 machine. So but again, let's say it's one of those things though. It's just he's having to work with Bud Steele, where maybe he doesn't race with Bud week in and week out like these guys do with one another. And those are those little things that show those little differences make a huge difference when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and you know, not only just the speed of the car, especially when you get to the end of the backstretch there, entering 3, but also those little movements. You know, you start stalling them real hard. That's going to cost tire wear, and it's also going to cost a little bit of fuel.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, every bit you're scrubbing around, let's say it's going to scrub a little bit of fuel off as well. You're exactly right there. So right now, though, so you see the lead pack here. They're still kind of strolling along, pretty much all still by 2x2. The inside line has definitely been able to push a little bit further forward again, though, with that one of Gabe Butler still holding on to a slight advantage over the 6 of Bud Steele as they cross the line here, start lapping the middle.
Expecting Gary, Kevin Hash, and Raymond Rittenauer to pit here in about 7 or 8 laps. Everybody else, they were the first takers, so everybody else is kind of scattered out behind them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I say if they split this evenly, I say it might be last time they pit on lap 20, maybe we see them on lap 40 this time around. As I say, it sounds like they might be splitting it kind of just evenly and then having those couple laps extra just in case for a green-white checkered finish. So I'd put them at 20, 40, and 60 to make those 3 stops. But I've been seeing it's been getting a little more dicey. I think Bud Steele's really trying to squeeze them down that little bit extra. And I definitely have seen it cause a little bit of wiggles from the 03 of Kevin Hash. I think just having us be a little more aggressive on the one of Gabe Butler. But I was saying also just having to try to when you kind of feel like you're getting squeezed to the inside, it definitely gets a little dicier. You saw right there the 1 and the 6 got really close to each other out of two.
Yeah, and they're making just a little bit of ground on that top side, as they just cleared or the 6.
Yeah,
just
Bud
cleared.
just barely cleared that one away entering turn number 3. He wasted no time. As soon as he was cleared, he had to jump to the inside. And I was saying, I think if you're Alberto Lopez, you're probably not too upset about that because I have a feeling that 20 car is probably starting to get a little bit hot there. So say Alberto now, he's going to be able to get a lot of fresh air in the front of that 20 car. So now we'll have to see, is Jim Brooks going to be able to try to push him towards the front in that 20 machine? Or we might see this this group fall back just a little bit more. As you see already, they've fallen back to about the 5th or so car in line. So it seems like I think Alberto is just obviously doing a great job pushing that 6 of Bud Steele to the front. But right now they just haven't been able to kind of reestablish that connection on that top groove.
Yeah, and Alberto was pushing harder than I've seen anyone push yet this race. I mean, he was glued to the 6's back bumper all the way through the corner, which was the first time, like I said, this race I've seen it happen.
Yeah, and so I think right now, we're going to see that one, the 03, the 87, the 071. I think they're going to be content right now to ride on this inside line, follow Bud Steele, because again, they know pit stop number 2 is just a few more laps away. Like I said, I suspect we'll see them probably around lap number 40 here. So just 3 more laps, I would assume. So I think that's what we're going to see. We'll see those 4 cars on the inside line duck into the pits in just a few more laps. But then the question is going to be the reaction. Does anybody react to that, to those guys doing so? And I say I'm going to jump back a little further because we haven't talked about the second group, which is right now being led by Mark Brown, Todd Siebels. Saying we talked about Dale Willoughby and Matt Quick. They are in this group as well. So I wonder again, are they able to save the fuel like we've been talking about? Say if they can still keep that two-stop strategy here, Dale. They're not too far away where it's not out of the running where they could make it to the end and still be able to kind of leapfrog their teammates who are, like I said, about 16 looks like seconds in front. But it's gonna take a lot of strategy and a lot of, I think, just perseverance basically to make this happen.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. They got some really good guys back there that they're just comfortable in the draft. I mean, you see the lead that Todd and the 73 car Mark Brown have put on the rest of the group. I mean, they're able to get big runs. Definitely a group of fast guys. I don't know that I think they're kind of in that middle zone where they could be in trouble, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, so I think if worse comes to worse, I think they could basically really kind of go full fuel save. However, what I am noticing is that outside line in the lead pack, it's definitely pretty much fizzled out now. So it's pretty much everybody now on the inside line. Alberto Lopez still up top. You can see, I mean, he's just falling pretty much almost to the back of the pack here in clutches of the 07 Robert DuPont. So I suspect we'll see all these guys drop to the inside line once they complete that fall. The other group we do need to mention, there's a third group a little further back right now being led by the 88 of Michael Spell. He is with the 15 of Danny J, the 90 of John Brill, and then Dave Thatcher, who we saw have that little bit of an issue earlier. Say they're not too far away from being put a lap down. They're about, I would say, looks like as they cross the line now, leaders are already out of 4, so probably about a 5-second or so gap from them to the leaders. And so we're going to jump back up front to the lead pack here because we are starting lap number 40 now. So I think this is going to be about go time for that number 1, the 03, the 87, and the 071 to make that second pit stop here.
Yeah, and that might be that third group led by Michael Spell's, saving grace is that within the next 2 to 3 laps, I mean, most of the field is going to have to pit.
And you're talking about that side draft. I'm looking at Alberto Lopez, and I think he's been able to pull a little bit of side draft because, I mean, look how he was already at the back of that group, Dale, and he's already worked his way back up into about the 3rd or 4th car in line. And you can see they're trying to squeeze in just a little bit, and they pop back out to try and not kind of have the same thing happen to them. So, but yeah, here they come. We're wanting to see if they react, and they do. Alberto Lopez, a late decision to hop in here as well, so they're going to have a cluster here on the entry. and somehow they all are able to stay apart from one another. So, say it looks like a few drivers trying to crash the boot knocker party here on the pit stops.
Yeah, I mean, you see a strategy that works, and it's really not going to hurt them to try it. You might as well.
Yes, and I just got to make sure that they hit their pit entries and make the right calls too, whether it's 2 tires, fuel only. It looks like right now I'm looking at fuel only based on these guys up front. You see there goes the 3 of them. They all come out together, and I think Alberto Lopez, a great stop for him. He's going to cycle out right with them as well. So it looks like we've got pretty much all of them out together. Looks like I think Charles Johnson, though, may have got busted speeding on entry. He is still sitting in the pits. And here comes our second group of drivers hitting pit road with Bud Steele. Dean Wilkinson's in there. Quabi Brooks, Skylar Brown, Todd Merkel, and then that the 07 of Robert DuPont. And it looks like also a clean entry for all of them here as well.
51 looked like he might have been a little hot coming in. He smoked the tires there at the last second, so I'm interested to see if he got it wound down. And
yeah, we'll have to keep an eye as Charles Johnson's still sitting in the pits. So always you see the 55 Dean Wilkinson overshot just a little bit. Now is able to get service, so we'll see if that costs him the draft or not. I say we're going to watch though. Todd Siebel's now showing as a race leader. They're going to stretch this thing out. They might as well try to go off strategy here. I think that's the right call for them to do. And the people that are really letting them stretch this fuel number out is that 7 and the 89 Matt Quick and Dale Willoughby, because that might allow them to be able to go that little bit further as well with still having some help as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, during these pit cycles, when you're the guys who can go the furthest, like you're talking about, you really have to push hard. I mean, you made your fuel bed. You've obviously done better than everybody else on saving, but now you have to make up that time while everybody else is stopped on pit lane.
Yeah, and look, they still are staying out, so they're able to go that little bit further still. So, but after the pit stop cycle, right now, I'll say almost maybe too big of a gap in front is that number 10 of Skylar Brown and Jim Brooks as well. He did get through. He was a clean stop for him, but they were not able to get reassembled as well as that group that pitted the lap before, because here comes that one of Gabe Butler. He's going to take the momentum here, I think, to the top and be able to get back to the front. But like I said, it is starting to shuffle up a little bit, because look at that third car in that group as they work their way around them is that number 20 of Alberto Lopez. But you saw there Raymond Rittenauer wasted no time to jump to the inside. But we're going to have about a 10-car group here after this pit stop cycle is complete.
Yeah, and they're able to drag Jack Walls and that 83 car down there with them too. I mean, that first 5 or 6 cars is really moving right.
Yeah, they're very quick. There's no question there. You see Alberto Lopez, he's still pretty much committed to the top side. I really thought we'd see him just kind of falling behind Jack Walls here, but he does not want to give up. He's still going to work that top, even if he's doing it by himself right now in that 20 machine. Didn't you mention Todd Siebels, Peter Travica? They are both in the pits. This was their scheduled pit stop as well. So that's going to leave just 3 cars now that have yet to make their second set of pit stops, and that is going to be Bobby Hash, Dale Willoughby, and Matt Quick. And we know from last time, Dale Willoughby, Matt Quick, they made it to lap 25, Dale. So that's going to be, I think, the goal here is if they can find a way to make this thing to 50, they could possibly make this thing to the end should we stay green.
Yeah, and looking at it, Bobby Hash is coming around. He's getting ready to take lap 23 on his fuel run, and it'll be 21 for Dale Willoughby and Matt Quick. So there's definitely a decision to be made. Do they stay with the 25-lap strategy if they can, or do they come in with the 3 car?
Yeah, saying right now, I think just based on what I'm saying, I think this is kind of telling us, I think Bobby Hash, no knock on Bobby, but I think he might be a bit of a sacrificial lamb here, lost the draft early, and then also pitted earlier than these guys. So I think they're saying, hey, why don't you go ahead, we'll use your draft. Because one thing they could do is if they can hustle a little bit more. Right now, unfortunately, the 73 Mark Brown's off on his own here as he comes out of 4 now. If they could tag onto the back of that 73 car, they could then use Mark Brown as a draft to kind of keep stretching that field number. But nope, as you talked about, Dale, are they going to go all together? And they do. They're all going to pit together here on lap number 45.
Yeah, that's a tough decision to get the extra fuel or get the extra time, and they elect the extra time.
And it's getting busy up front. You see Michael Spell running the wall there, letting the leaders go on by. So they had 3 wide there for just a moment. But he's going to try to get back in line here and grab onto the back of the draft here. Because that's going to be the next fight here. Is going to be let's say there are cars that are starting to get laps with everything going on. And right now the first car one down is that 9 of Charles Johnson. So he's going to try to keep ahead of that 88 of Michael Spell to keep himself in that left position as they run here.
Really impressed with Jim and Quabi Brooks. I mean, I wasn't sure that Jim didn't speed on pit road, got it down just in time. I went back and looked. Both of them had great pit stops and still up here with lead pack.
Yeah, see, and yeah, like I said, it's a good group in this lead pack right now. I say we've got waiting for the ticker to cycle around here to get fully up to date. Looks like 11 cars in the lead pack on the lead lap after the 2 sets of pit stops. So honestly, they got one more set to go. Should we stay green? So I mean, that's going to be the next key. I think is to nail that money stop. Figure out if you're going to do two tires, rights or lefts, or you're going to take fuel only. We've seen in the past you do not want to go ahead and you do not want to take 4. That's going to cost you the race. But right now, as you can see, again, Alberto Lopez, he is pretty much just committed completely to this top side. And he's got the number 2 of Todd Merkel working with him, and Quabi Brooks. He's jumped to the top and will try to give that top line a little bit of a boost here as well.
It's like the 88 might just be tagged onto him back there, kind of watching him a little bit.
Yeah,
not
I think
on
he's
the lead lap.
close enough. Yeah, you're right. But this is critical for Michael here, because if he loses this draft, he's gonna have to go I'd say about 5+ seconds back till he gets to the next car. So yeah, so I mean, if you're Michael Spell right now, you need, by just with anything you can do here, to hold on to the back of that group. I think you just now really got a big pull off of the 51 of Jim Brooks, so he's gonna keep that draft here. So that's a really big. This is a big thing for Michael Spell to make sure he does not lose that lead pack.
I mean, and maybe he wants to get real aggressive and try to get up here and get around the 1 car and unlap himself. And honestly, that's not a bad thing for Gabe Butler either, because that'll save him some fuel. And Gabe's led all the laps he needs to, except for the last one at this point. I mean, he's got his bonus point.
You're right, because I say we must have missed something, because at one point Charles Johnson was the in that lucky dog position. And then that switched, but now I'm trying to see where Charles Johnson is. And he last pitted at lap 40, so I think I must have missed something with that 9 car, because he was in this lead pack after the pit stop cycle had completed. I'm going to go see if I can try to see if I can find what happened to that number 9 car. Take a look, see if there's any damage showing in that car or not. And it looks clean, because as I was mentioning, it was going to be a big thing for Charles to make sure that he stayed in that draft, but something must have happened to that 9 machine to get him out of that group, because now, like you said, it's even more critical for Michael to keep this draft, because he is in that lucky dog position.
Yeah, I think what happened was Charles just fell back there to help his pal out, Bud Steele. I went back and watched a little bit, didn't see him get into anybody when he fell off, and he kind of let a couple other cars just go around him.
Yeah, it's very possible. That's some nice friendship to do that kind of a thing, because like I said, he was in contention should there be a yellow to be that lucky dog position. Like I said, may have dropped back to pick up his friend in that 6 car, Bud Steele, to kind of help their lap times out. So right now, Dale, we are on lap number 50 here, so we're at that 2/3 distance. So pit window probably going to open to make it to the end in about, I would say, to play it safe for potential green-white checkers, I'd say about 5 more laps just to really play it safe here. And I believe we had something happen to Dean Wilkinson as well, because he just hit the pits and then he actually jumped to the pits, so may have had something happen to that 55 machine as well. Yeah, I think, because I'm looking down and showing him as 8 laps down, so I think something must have gone severely wrong for Dean, and may have just unfortunately had to call it. But right now, though, you see they're working on now. We're coming up to that 73, though. That's going to be Mark Brown, and I think Mark right now is tail end of the lead lap, so this is going to be crucial for Mark here as well. He needs to try to see if he can tag onto the back of this group, maybe even falling right behind Quabi Brooks, and that could give him an opportunity here to stay in front of that 88 of Michael Spell.
Yeah, and that's really what he needs to be thinking about is how can I just stay a couple feet even ahead of him. I probably would have dropped down there in front of that 07 just to secure it a little bit.
Yeah, so it's now he's got to hustle that 73 car. You can see it. I think he's going to be all right. You can almost hear the revs pick up once he hits that draft too. It's amazing the difference that it makes. But yeah, I think Mark Brown, he's going to be secure here to hold that. And look at that big run he gets entering 3. So now for Mark, what do you do? Do you stay behind the 88, or I think you take the momentum, you jump to the top, so we'll keep an eye and see what Mark does here. But right now, and yep, he looked like he went to the top as soon as Michael saw that. He went to the top as well. Michael knows exactly what's going on. He does not want to lose that lucky dog position.
I like seeing that aggression out of the 88 too. Like it really did exactly what he should have done there. Super aggressive move. I mean, the 73 is coming 5 or 6 mile an hour faster. So to make that move and just hope and pray he didn't run into the back of him.
Yeah, as long as you time it right, so you're usually in a pretty safe spot there. And obviously, I mean, he could try the third line, but he'd have no help. So yeah, Michael, I think, made the exact right decision there to keep himself in contention here, because again, you never know who or where something could happen. I mean, it's been pretty busy. It's been dicey up front, so there's always opportunities of caution, especially on pit stop cycles as well. So we'll jump back a little further from this lead pack here. Actually, I'm going to wait a second so you see they're coming up on Bobby Hash. I'll say it looks like Bobby, this is going to be the next one. I'll say this is going to put Bobby now 1 lap down. So same thing now. He's going to be in this same fight as well in that 3 car. But first, they got to make sure that they get by clean. I say everything always squeezes a little bit through the turns. But you see Bobby's able to give plenty of room. These guys do a great job of kind of getting by him. And the same thing for Bobby now. He's got to try to jump in line here. So now you got 3 cars here going to be battling for that spot. It's going to be the 88, the 73, and the 3.
Yeah, and just the race within the race at this point. I mean, because they're all lined up here. Once the 3 car gets caught back up, they're going to be nose to tail.
Yeah, exactly right. So the one advantage I think right now for Bobby Hash is he does have a few more laps on the other guys than Field, so he can stretch it a little more if he needs to. So that could give him an opportunity here as well. Let's jump a little bit further back. You mentioned Charles Johnson, and there they are. There's Bud Steele with them. They are locked onto one another. Looks like John Brill's going to be in that group as well. And then just a little further back here, you've got Dale Willoughby, Matt Quick, Todd Siebels, Peter Travica. They are closing this group as well, so they're going to turn this 3-car group into about a 7-car group in just a moment. Again, way off the pace of the leaders, unfortunately. I say they're now about 22 seconds, I believe it is, off the lead pack. But I say they are still in the lead lap, about a half a lap down. However, again, I mean, a caution could change everything. And of course, now with these guys all lining up together, I think their pace is only going to pick up. And as I say that, here comes us. Oh, we got trouble in the pits here, Dale.
Oh, big trouble.
A lot of cars caught up in this one. I'll have to go back and see exactly how this all happened. Let's go back and take a look. Oh, Alberto Lopez already spinning in the pits. I'm not sure if this was a pit stop or if this was maybe some contact on the entry here. Let me go back a little further. All right, we're going to take a look here. You see the 1, the 03, the 87 all coming in. Look at Alberto Lopez, though. He wants to go in, too. I think he expected Raymond Rittenauer to go in earlier. And then you see the contact between the 2 and the 20. Quabi Brooks just avoids it. Unfortunately, oh, the 07 Robert DuPont, nothing he could do. You see Skylar Brown had to take to the apron to avoid the contact as well. So this is going to really shake things up here on the pit stop cycle as well. As you see Jim Brooks there. He's all the way to the inside trying to he's trying to hit his pit mark as well. But then Jim actually trying to avoid it. He catches the inside wall here. So I'll say a few cars getting caught up in this one. And then you see, looks like, oh, Raymond Rittenauer and then the one of Gabe Butler. They get caught together here as well. So yeah, so just pretty much everything that could go wrong that pit stop did. You see Jim has to stop there to try to avoid the 87. So yeah, so unfortunately got real busy there real quick. And while we were watching all of that, Quabi Brooks, he pitted there that following lap. Let me jump back live here. I know that the 51, he had just made his pit stop, and I believe he's come out behind the 73 of Mark Brown. I'm trying to look at pit stop times. So I think actually there's a couple cars in front of him. I think right now Skylar Brown might be showing right now as the furthest up of those that have made their last pit stop here.
Yeah, it's all shaken up. Everything, everybody's spread out now, so about to get really interesting.
Yeah, so right now our race leader is actually that 7 of Dale Willoughby with the 89 of Matt Quick pushing him. Say Bud Steele fighting for that spot as well, pushing the 9 of Charles Johnson, who right now, as things run, Charles Johnson tail end of the lead lap. So, I mean, that's going to be another, again, I mean, we never know how these things are going to unfold, but that could be a critical turning point in this one as well here. So we'll definitely need to keep an eye out on that. And that's where now, if you were Matt Quick and the 7 of Dale Willoughby, you almost, I think, be like, man, if we had run that fuel mileage number, we actually might be in a better spot than we realized because of how everything went wrong in that final stop.
Yeah, and you can't anticipate those kind of things. I mean, the pit stops here are generally very clean. That's what we just saw was a super rare occasion.
Yeah, so right now these are our leaders. So up front, they have yet to make their final stop. Here is our battle for the lead, though, with this once their final stops happen. And it's going to be right now Skylar Brown. But as I say that, there goes the 83 of Jack Walls. So right now Jack's going to be showing as our race leader with Kevin Hash behind him. Once pit stops happen, these are now going to be our top 2. And you see Quabi Brooks is trying to tag back on with that 73 of Mark Brown's. And Mark right now is a lap down. So that's going to be 5 cars in this lead pack battle here.
Yeah, and a good opportunity. Mark Brown's got a friend up in this group they're catching. You know, the 10 of Skylar Brown, his son. Good opportunity for maybe Mark to get up on the high side and get pushed around to get his lap back the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm looking for Mark's last pit stop. Mark last pitted on lap 55, so Mark is good to go to the end as well in that 73 car. So he can kind of play a little bit of spoiler in this one as well. We've seen it happen before. But right now, we've obviously right now still our race leader is that number 7 of Dale Willoughby with Matt Quick, Bud Steele, Todd Siebels, and Peter Travica. They have yet to make their final pit stop of the race. So right now these are the top 5, and once they cycle things through, that's going to then bring it back to Jack Walls in that 83. So we'll keep an eye on these guys and see when they make their final stop, because they last pitted around, the range is from 41 to 45. So based on that, I believe they can go about 5 more laps if my bad math is correct. So I'm going to jump back a little further, because I'll say this is not over for some of these guys as well, because there is a big gap. It's about 9 seconds between Gabe Butler to Quabi Brooks, but last time by Dale, they were half a second quicker. And there's enough time for, if they can continue this pace, they can catch that lead pack here. Again, this time by, it was a 44 for Quabi to a 22 for Gabe. And if you compare it off the leaders, it was a 50 for Jack Walls to a 22 for Gabe Butler. So they're continuing to close that gap. And we know how well these guys drafted one another with Raymond Rittenauer, Eric Laurie, Gabe Butler. Also, Bobby Hash is in that mix as well. So I would say there's still a good chance these guys can make something happen here.
Yeah, and you know, they're probably going to catch a couple cars here, some of these lappers, that's going to add to their speed. You know, every car they add to this group is going to make them just a hair quicker.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if they can keep their group kind of committed to one another, you know, eventually this lead pack, they're going to start dicing it up and slow themselves down as well. So right now, let's say we're still got plenty of time to go. Still 14 laps left in this race. Still waiting for that final pit stop from the guys up front here with Dale Willoughby, Matt Quick, Charles Johnson right there as well, Todd Siebels, Bud Steele, Peter Travica. They are still yet to make their final scheduled pit stop. They cannot make it to the end. There is still going to be one more stop for these guys. And again, watching a big jump this time, Dale. The 47.76 for Jack Walls compared to a 47.17 for Gabe Butler. That 9-second gap is down to, I think, about 7 seconds now as they run.
Yeah, another thing, too, I'm looking at here is that Dale Willoughby and Matt Quick can potentially go all the way to lap 70.
Yeah, that's a good point. So they can go probably, yeah, you're right. They can go a lot further, actually, than I thought they could. So they still have a little ways left should they choose to. And here comes Charles Johnson and Bud Steele. They're going to pit. You see, that's going to be only the 2 of them, though, on this pit stop. Again, Bud Steele was part of the lead pack. Unfortunately, Charles was a lap down, but it's working to kind of help his friend there, which is really cool to see. Always nice to see the teamwork between friends and teammates and family, things of that nature. So, yeah, this race is going to get very interesting before this is over with tonight.
Yeah, and it's just slowing that lead group down, you know, just a little more when this thing cycles out. Obviously, Jack Walls is the leader, can make it to the end. But Gabe Butler and them, I mean, they're just so fast under these conditions.
Yeah, I mean, you know they're driving too. I mean, they're when something like that happens and you kind of put yourself in a bad spot, I mean, it's just going to ramp things up even more. So right now, say Jack Walls is still leading, Kevin Hash right behind him, and for Kevin, I mean, he needs to make sure he needs to keep himself in a good position here in that 03 car, because I mean, yeah, he can try to push harder right now on the 83 car, but that's going to risk getting his temps too hot. And I mean, you don't want to blow your motor at this point. You know you're good to the end, so this is really where you just wait to make the right move at the right time. And so I mean, right now Kevin is just kind of, I think, playing the long game here, waiting to make that move at the right time. So yeah, right now again their pace is still slowing up here. It's 47.84 last time by 47.13 for these guys. And I mean, you can see, I mean, they're going to get to the point here where they're going to visually be able to see that gap to those cars in front.
Yeah, 45 is taking pit lane now. That leaves 3 drivers up in this front group here that still have to pit.
Yeah,
I think
you're
it's
right.
a total
Yeah.
of 5 overall.
Yeah, Dale Willoughby, Matt Quick, Peter Travica, they still have to make their final stop. In this group also is that 20 of Alberto Lopez. We saw him caught up in that incident. And then I believe it is also Dave Thatcher that's in this group as well. We saw him with some technical difficulties earlier, maybe hardware issue, I'm not sure. But he's still sticking with it. So always good to see these drivers stick it out even when things aren't going exactly like they want to, as we just crossed 10 to go that last time by. So we'll have to keep an eye. When do these guys make their last stop here? And here comes Peter Travica. He can wait no longer. He jumps in. So that's going to leave just Dale Willoughby, Matt Quick as the last 2 remaining to make their final pit stop. And the lap times are really slowing down for Jack Walls and company. Dale last time by 48.51 compared to 47.32 for Gabe Butler. It's within 4 seconds now.
Yeah, they're going to get there with plenty enough time to make a move. So the racing is not over. I'm sure when they get there, you know, Jack's up here. He's comfortable with what he's got. He's not going to let him take it so easy.
Yeah, the question is, yeah, who makes the move when? If you're Jack Walls, I mean, you want to stay to the bottom, but I think you're going to have to do a little bit of mirror driving. I think when you see that top line come, I mean, at this point in the race, you're going to see that one car. They're going to jump to the top once they get there, and you can see here they come. They're just peeking into the background there. So, I mean, and what's going to happen here is they're going to get just in that magic fuel window. And actually, as I say that, I believe Dale Willoughby and Matt Quick are pitting now, like you said, with 8 to go here. So that's going to leave now Jack Walls, once he cycles through, will be shown as our race leader. So now it's going to get interesting. It's going to turn this 5-car pack, I believe, into about a 10-car pack, if I'm not mistaken, because it's also going to be bringing Jim Brooks with Eric Laurie as well as in this fight here also. So it's going to get pretty busy here.
So there's no doubt in my mind. I know why they're catching them so quick, and it's a teammate strategy. This is how Superspeedway racing works. If you don't have friends, you don't get very far. I'm wondering if the 03 jumps to the top before or after they get there, but the 53 is went now.
So Quabi said, yeah, you go to the top and push me, why don't you? So say Quabi's going to try to force their hand here, see if he can make them push him in the 53 cars. Here they come to the top. So now the question is Quabi going to be able to hold him, or are they going to try to jump to that third line? There goes Skylar Brown. He's going to jump to the top as well. So Quabi, I think he saw exactly what you were talking about, Dale. He expected to see that top line happen. And so he said, you know what, I'm gonna be that top line before anything goes on. And so you see he's going to work the top. So he's got to be careful not to go too high there, because that's going to allow Gabe Butler to maybe peek to the inside. And you see there goes the they're going around the 90 of John Brill. Contact in the back. Yeah, Jim Brooks, Eric Laurie around. That is going to bring the caution out here, unfortunately. And that was with 7 to go. And let's go back and see exactly what happened there. That's going to pretty much change everything here for this last stretch of the race. All right, we're going back and take a look. We're watching the 51 and the 071. You see them on the very last group up against this lead draft. You see the 90 of John Brill here, I think, trying to run the wall, basically to try to stay out of the way. And I say, just unfortunate, I think he catches the wall just a little bit there. But then do they make contact? Or I think actually no. Look, if you look there, it looks like Eric actually reacts to that. And unfortunately, it's a lot of net code, but also does catch the right rear of Jim Brooks, and that puts him into the wall. And unfortunately, I think that might be night done for Jim Brooks as well. But I believe with that wall contact we saw during the pit stop, I believe that is probably going to be a retirement for him, unfortunately.
So really shakes up some plans here. Obviously, Gabe Butler was working on the high side. Quavi Brooks in the 53 had made a plan on what he was going to do when they got there to win, make his plan to win this race. Things are a little different now.
Yeah, it's definitely very different now. So you're going to have Jack Walls as the leader on this restart. And then, so based on that, I suspect you'll see Jack run the inside line. He'll have Skylar Brown behind him. Kevin Hash is going to have the 2 of Todd Merkel behind him. Quavi Brooks will be on the inside of row number 3. And then Gabe Butler on the outside of row number 3. So, but the other thing this does, though, is we talked about, I mean, it's been a long time, but we talked about Matt Quick, and he's going to be in the top 10 here on this restart, Dale. And we know he's plenty good to go on fuel to the end. So that 89 car, he's not out of the running on this one as well.
Another person I want to mention getting that wave around the lucky dog right now, Mark Brown, puts him back on the lead lap.
Yeah, you're right. There goes Mark Brown going ahead and get that lap back in the 73 car. And so we do have a few drivers going ahead and pitting here. Curious to see, it doesn't look like there's anybody in front of the leader, so we won't have any wave arounds for drivers staying out to get a lap back here. But the other thing this does do, though, Dale, is I believe this is going to put us possibly into the first green white checkered territory, or it might put us just kind of on an unofficial one. So fuel numbers are going to be extremely important here as well. And I already see Jim Brooks exiting the pits. Let me go take a look at that 51. No, it's still missing the front clip. So I was going to say he may have actually had a fast repair remaining, but unfortunately I am mistaken. That car's still missing the whole front end there. But I mean, he's on the lead lap. He might as well just limp this thing along. You never know how these races are going to finish up. Alright, so we're going to kind of run through the running order. So right now we have 16 cars on the lead lap. Like you said, Mark Brown getting back on the lead lap. The drivers of this really help, though. Like we just talked about, Michael Spell, Bobby Hash really helps them out. Dale Willoughby is also in that group. Matt Quick, Bud Steele. I'll say it's going to bring a lot of drivers back into this. And the one driver I'm watching right now running the apron is that one of Gabe Butler. I'm wondering how little fuel did that one put in, maybe expecting it to go green to the end. He might be kind of going full fuel save to try to make sure there's absolutely no questions he can make it to the end.
Yeah, and if that is, I don't know if that's the decision he made, but if it is, I'm sure he's regretting it right now. And you come to these races and they've been relatively clean, seen a little contact here and there, but nothing major. And to come down this late in the race and have a caution certainly wasn't what he was expecting.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is not green white checker territory, Dale. Now that I'm watching it, we're gonna restart this thing with 3 to go. So what can happen here? So basically the way this works is if we get to the white flag, from then on out they race it out. However, if there's a caution before that white flag flies, then we get into green white checker territory. So I mean, they could be coming off of turn 4 to take the white, caution comes out, they have to rack them up, they do it again up to 3 attempts. Basically the magic flag to make it to the end is going to be that white flag. So that's going to be what these guys are going to be looking for. And again, it's going to be Jack Walls leading on the inside on the front row. Next to him is Kevin Hash. And then you've got Skylar Brown behind Jack Walls. You got Todd Merkel behind Kevin Hash there. And then row number 3 is Quavi Brooks, Gabe Butler. Row 4 is Raymond Rittenauer and Todd Siebels. We talked about Todd just kind of cruising and keeping himself in position. He is in a really good position now. And then right now, rounding our top 10 is going to be Matt Quick and Bud Steele.
The lights are off. Jack has to be thinking, about this guy to his outside. And the guy behind him, Skylar Brown, the 10 car, very strong pretty much everywhere we go. No real good way for him to indicate to Skylar that, when he's going to get him up on his bumper without letting the whole field know.
Yeah, exactly right. And this might be one of those things where if you're Jack Walls, it's in your best interest here. I think you go on green. You don't jump early, because I think if you jump early, you're just going to get too big of a lead. They'll get that momentum on you. You see Kevin Hash is ready to go, raring to go, and we are under green. You see a pretty even start between these guys, but Skylar Brown, he's going to be quick to the back bumper of that 83 of Jack Walls.
And Gabe's back there. He's going to push that 2 car once they get on the back stretch there to make sure he's on the bumper, the 2's on the bumper of the 03.
Yeah, so this is where things get really dicey too, Dale. These guys are going to really start pushing and shoving. They're going to start pushing a lot more aggressively than they have been. So this is where you might see a little bit of you kind of almost push the push. You try not to push the pusher, but there's times where you got to be as humanly close as possible. And look at that 03 car getting it pushed down the backstretch, gets side by side there, back with the 83 of Jack Walls entering 3.
Yeah, Jack getting real close, kind of running up a little bit on 03. They're going to...
Oh, Skylar's peeking to the inside. Oh, contact. 83's around.
Yeah.
We're still green up. Caution is out. A lot of cars involved in this one. So this is going to put us into that green, white checker territory, unfortunately. And that was one of the concerns we had. And it looked like Skylar Brown just had a little bit of a potential look to the inside. Let's go back. We'll take a look and see exactly what happened there. Alright, we gotta go back a little further here still.
Man, look at the ride Eric Laurie goes for.
Alright, so you see Skylar Brown, yeah, you see just catches the left rear of Jack Walls. Nothing Jack can do at that point. And that's where Jack just probably has to play a little bit more defense, unfortunately. But then say you see there's Skylar Brown, and say he comes back up on the track and unfortunately catches Quabi Brooks. Also a little bit of contact for the 45 of Todd Siebels, might get away with it. And then you see just pretty much it's collecting everybody here through the front stretch. You see Charles Johnson. He actually, I think Charles, we're going to keep an eye on that 9 car. Oh, actually, no, as they say that he gets caught. He almost had a cleared Dale, then he gets caught again. And you're right, Eric Laurie going up and over on his lid here through the start-finish line. So, yeah, pretty much a little bit of anybody and everybody collected in this one. But, yeah, Eric Laurie going definitely for a pretty big tumble there. So there's going to be, this is going to be where drivers hope they have a faster repair remaining. But, man, just that 071 just tumbling down the front stretch here. I say still hasn't found a way. Almost actually lands a little bit on Mark Brown there for just a moment until it finally comes to rest. And of course, just to make matters worse, on his roof, can't try to loop it around. So let's jump back alive here.
Yeah, I was just talking about, you could see Jack kind of washing up in the corner a little bit, and he got clear. You know, he cleared Skylar Brown's nose. And Skylar's on the gas. There's really not a lot he can do there because once Jack clears him, that car's going to take off a little bit. And that's exactly what, happened. He got to the inside, and then, we saw the result of that.
Yeah, and so what's happened here now, too, is we've got about 6 cars, I feel like, that did not pit. Looks like Matt Quick going to be the first of those. Again, a lot of drivers, and we talked about Area 51, they have one fast repair, and there's a lot of drivers that are going to be able to take advantage of that to have a chance to let this race. Pretty much it looks like 6 cars stayed out. Kevin Hash, we saw him. He got around it. Todd Merkel was able to get through clear as well as the one of Gabe Butler. Todd Siebel's a little bit of right rear damage, but I think at that point you got to kind of live with what you got. And you got Raymond Rittenauer there in 5th, I should say, and missing a front clip still. That 51 and Jim Brooks in that 6th position. He's not going to be in a great position to do anything, but I mean, he can still try to survive this thing. And those that pitted, though, you got Matt Quick, Dale Willoughby, Mark Brown. He got that lucky dog. He's back in this thing as well. You got Skylar Brown. I think he was able to get a fast repair, get back out there. Bud Steele's able to get back out on track as well. Quabi Brooks. And I believe, let me see if, I think Michael Spell back on the lead lap as well in the 88 car. But not to make Jim lonely, he is also missing a front clip on that 88 car.
Bobby Brooks, very, very fortunate to have a clean race up until that last incident. So he came out, took his fast repair, and not in bad shape.
Yeah, so lights are off. We are now in green white checker territory. This is the first attempt of it. Again, you see that number 1, Gabe Butler, running the apron. I think again really low on fuel, but this is where I think it's gonna be a tough sledding for anybody else here, Dale. Look at the inside line. You've got the 03, you've got the 1, you've got the 87. You've got the 89. So you've got 4 of those guys lined up together on the inside row here. That's going to be, because they're going to be able to kind of call a start out with one another. Unfortunately, it's going to put Todd Merkel in a bad spot to be able to do anything with those guys.
And just looking at the 51 with no front clip, he's no help to the 45 of Todd Siebels. So I mean, the
Yeah.
top line is in trouble no matter who's in the bottom line. Those are
Yeah.
relatively all clean cars.
Yeah, you kind of have to hope here for if you're Jim Brooks, at least maybe get up to speed past the start finish line. But then, I mean, I think he's going to have to try to just get up to the wall and just see where things shake out. I mean, for all we know, I mean, there could wind up being another yellow where he can maybe gain a few more spots that way. I mean, this is when it gets to these restarts, things get very dicey and very aggressive here at the end. So, however, I think if you're that 03 Kevin Hash, you are really enjoying where you are here because this is a really good position, I think, to be in.
And hasn't won, so far. This is only race 3. Would like to get a win early.
Yeah, it's true. So get that win, lock yourself into that Final Four finale with the 8 drivers. As he's going to go a little early, they are down. And the way you see the 7, Dale will be wasting no time. He tries to jump down as well. And we are down and away. Green white checker attempt number 1, 2 to go at the line. Again, the critical thing for these guys is to try to get to that white flag.
Yeah, we talked about just no help back there for that 2. Forced to go to the bottom line.
Yeah, so he was at least able to get to that inside line and hold that 5th position now. But look at Matt Quick. He's peeking to the top in the 89 car. He wants to make a race of this. You see Todd Merkel. He's going to waste no time. He's going to jump up there as well. So we'll see if they can make anything happen. Here goes the number 6 of Bud Steele. He's got some help from, I believe that is Lieutenant Skyler Brown. So let's say now again, like I talked about, the next thing for these guys is they got to try to get to that white flag, which right now they're looking like they could be able to do. It looks like it's going to be pretty clean here through 3 and 4. Look at the 7 of Dale Wilby. He's having to actually hit the pits here. So not sure, maybe past before the start finish line, he may have got a pit penalty. Not 100% sure there. White flag is out. This is the final lap of the race. Right now it's just a nose ahead for Kevin Hash over that 89 of Matt Quick. But look at that 1 of Gabe Butler just pushing that 03 for all he worked down through 1 and 2.
Oh, bubble out of that 2. Almost got down there in the bottom line.
Contact Bud Steele. Mark Brown connected. That's going to send Mark Brown to the inside wall, unfortunately. We obviously stay green because this is the white flag lap, but right now it is still between the 2 of these guys up front. And so you've got the 03 of Kevin Hash getting pushed as hard as he can by the 1 of Gabe Butler. And right now the closest battle is going to be for a 3rd, but here comes the 1. He's going to peek to the top. Now it's a brace to the line. At the line, I think it's going to be Kevin Hash still getting the win over Gabe Butler. It's close. You can see on the ticker here, it's 0.00 on our side. But based on the ticker, it is looking like Kevin Hash still going to get the win tonight here at Daytona.
Yeah, iRacing showing 0.004.
4 thousandths of a second for the race win between Kevin Hash and Gabe Butler. Raymond Rittenauer, he's able to hold off Matt Quick for 3rd. Matt Quick 4th. Todd Merkel brings it home in 5th. And then rounding our top 10, you've got Skyler Brown in 6th, Bud Steele in 7th, Quabi Brooks 8th, Todd Siebels in 9th, and Jim Brooks in that modified still finds a way to finish in the top 10. I mean, Kevin did everything right tonight, Dale. He was leading that pack when it came time to the end before that caution came out. So I mean, he was in front. He was in contention all race long. Was able to do exactly what he needed to, and winds up getting the win here tonight.
Yeah, a lot more bonus points lost than we're used to seeing in this race. Typically quite a few guys will get the bonus points for 0 incidents, but looks like most of the field's going to miss out on those.
Yeah, so there's not going to be very many incident points or any incident-free races for drivers this evening. We'll see if anybody. We'll have to take a look. And yeah, we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, Dale. I'll say these guys, the Indy Series, they've been working on having these photo finishes. Say Superspeedway, say, hey, we can do those too with that finish tonight. And we'll pull up and we'll take a look at that finish as well before we finish up the evening. However, we're going to pull up some drivers, get some interviews. And I say, well, first we're going to keep watching the celebration here by the 03 of Kevin Hash. I don't think the engine department's going to be happy about this one, but we're going to be rebuilding the motor.
Well, they know some guys.
That is true. He's got that Chevy Camaro, so I think we happen to know a certain somebody that works on some LS motors, so we can have a chat with him about that as well. But we're gonna pull up our top three and have an interview with them, and we're gonna start things off with that number 87 of Raymond Rittenauer. All right, let's go ahead and pull Raymond Rittenauer in here tonight. Started on pole, finishes in third. I'll say, however, got the big win last week to lock yourself into that Final Four championship hunt there. But kind of a tale of two races, obviously. I say you and you, Kevin, Gabe, you guys were kind of in a good spot there for a long time, leading most of the chunk. We kind of watched the pit strategy. Looked like it was going to be that kind of that 20-40-60, kind of split it up evenly. But obviously that last pit stop, just kind of everything came undone for you guys. I say you were heading in there, but I think someone was hoping to hit in with you guys maybe a little bit, didn't realize where you were on track, and kind of just sent everything haywire there at the end. Just tell us about obviously that, and then of course then the recovery for you and Gabe to kind of just shove your guys' way back to the front on that last run before the final caution came out for that dash to the finish here.
The last pit stop, I don't know if I got hit a little bit before I entered the apron or not. I think somebody tried to pit from the outside, to be honest. But yeah, and then once all the smoke was there, I didn't see Gabe, and I feel bad for spinning him there. But we got together there with Eric and just drafted our way back up, and luckily we got a caution that lined us all up on the bottom for that restart, which was very nice. And yeah, awesome finish there. It was real close. I'm glad I could get Kevin a little bump there for the win.
Yeah, I think Dale said it sounds like it's maybe about 4 thousandths of a second at the line there. We'll definitely be going back and taking a look at it before we're done tonight. But yeah, I mean, and what was going through your mind there when because obviously you guys, you're used to kind of pitting just the four of you, maybe 4 or 5 of you guys together. But I say obviously it looked like tonight a few others wanted to kind of join the party. It's one of those things where if it's tough to beat, you kind of want to try to join that group and kind of do what you guys do. Did that change kind of how you guys had to do things at all, or was it just kind of do the usual approach, but then unfortunately, of course, that contact just kind of threw you guys for a loop, and from there, just the recovery drive at the end?
Yeah, I think even if we would have had a good pit stop there, everybody still would have been bunched up. It was pretty tight all race. We couldn't really pull away like we wanted to.
All right. So the other thing, Dale and I, we talked to you guys a little bit before the race. Mentioned with the cooler temperatures tonight with the tires, kind of taking a few laps to kind of get comfortable. Was that something that you still noticed throughout the race, and did that adjust your pit strategy as well? Maybe avoiding taking tires just for the sake of hopefully trying to keep those temps up a little bit throughout the run.
Yeah, the first run I started feeling wobbly behind Gabe there, so I took lefts, and that didn't really help out, and we took none the rest of the race. It was I don't know if it was just the air from being pinched and just everything moving around there, but it was pretty sketchy. There was a lot of beating and banging tonight.
Yeah, so never a track at Daytona. Yes, they definitely could lead to some tighter racing, tighter finishes for sure. But yeah, you guys did a great job as they still found your way with four of the top 5 tonight. So hats off to all of you guys, and great job getting that 3rd place. So definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that result this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my sponsor, Lucky Dogs, and all my teammates at Boot Knocker here, and you guys for putting on a heck of a broadcast.
All right, well done, Raymond. Enjoy that one, and I look forward to catching you again next week.
All right, thank you.
All right, Dale, now we're going to switch over to our 2nd place finisher in that number 1 of Gabe Butler. So let's go ahead and pull that number 1 machine up here. All right, Gabe. So we just talked to Raymond there in 3rd. Obviously, you're able to grab that 2nd position. Made the big move at the end to try to put yourself in position there to see if you could grab one for yourself. It was really tight. It sounds like 4 thousandths between you and Kevin there at the end. But obviously, the big thing, of course, was that pit stop. That final pit stop, just obviously everything going wrong. I think just some misjudgments that looked like on the entry. I think drivers maybe expecting something different, maybe who was going to be entering where or when and all that. So Obviously, when it's just you and Kevin and Raymond and company, it's a lot easier. So when you've got some of the guys that you aren't on Discord with, how much more difficult is it to try to coordinate those pit stops?
Uh, Normally speaking, I mean, it's not terrible. The guys in here do a good job of feathering the cars out, to get away from each other. But I'm not quite sure what caused that. I'd have to look at it. I felt like a car was trying to pit from the second lane. I'm not sure about that, but anyway, whatever happened, they put up a pile of smoke at the entrance to pit road, and I saw the guy sliding in front of me, and but Ray couldn't see a thing because of the smoke, and he kind of ran into the back of me through no fault of his own. He just couldn't see anything. So, but I mean, it was just one of those things.
Did that adjust anything you were gonna do on the pit stop normally, or like did you go from okay, I'm gonna take two to say okay, I gotta change for fuel only? I'm assuming you probably had to use the fast repair on that one as well, but how did that change at all that final pit strategy for just the pit stop itself?
No, we kind of stuck with the plan and just hopefully, I knew me and Ray were going to be last out, so we try and, just try to get hooked up as best we could, and we were able to track him down. But we didn't change anything on the pits. We, just a quick repair was anything I did different.
Yeah, so I definitely saw you guys putting down some pretty big lap times there, trying to chase them back down. And were there any concerns? I say because I'm sure that was probably about the hardest you guys had to race to catch that group on that final couple laps. Was there any concern about the oil temp, water temps, things like that, or were you guys kind of same thing, kind of just working with each other? Okay, I gotta kind of maybe stagger off for a little bit to bring the temps down, or how did that go with you and Raymond there?
I'm not sure how Ray was keeping it cool, but he was doing it. But he was running kind of hot while we were trying to track him down. And then when we got to him, he backed off a little bit to cool his car down. But Quabi got up there in that second lane, and I didn't take tires all night. So I mean, we could have tried the third lane, but I didn't want to take the risk and just wreck everybody. So we kind of settled in and hopefully waited for an opportunity, and unfortunately it came in the form of a caution there.
Yeah, I had a feeling that there probably wasn't going to be too many people that were going to kind of give you guys a free ride to the top there at the end of that one. But I mean, still an awesome job by all of you guys. Like I said, a lot of chaos at the end, but able to kind of get through most of it for that last dash to the finish, of course, as well. I mean, take us through that last lap move there when you finally had that opportunity to just jump to the outside of Kevin coming out of four there to try to see if you could grab a win.
Yeah, I was trying to time it just right because I knew Ray was behind me, and then when I would slide up that he'd slide right in behind Kevin, but I didn't want to take out Matt either, and so I just wanted to. I don't know if I came out too soon or too late or what. I probably came up a little bit too soon because I had room, and that forced Matt to check up. He didn't want to run into the back of me and spin me and take us all out, so he had to get out of it a little bit. Ray was able to slide in behind Kevin and push him on across.
It was a well done move there at the end. So, like I said, just 4 thousandths. It sounds like a difference between the two of you. So just great run, man. But definitely want to give you the floor here. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that second place run tonight?
Big shout out to the team again, the usual suspects, and great job tonight in the pits again. And we had to fight for it, but we ended up getting it. And of course, Area 51 for putting on the league, and Green White Checker TV for putting on a fantastic broadcast as usual. We appreciate you guys.
Yeah, well done, man. So yeah, great job, Gabe. I'll say it was a lot of fun to watch you guys, especially at the end there. Really dicey, but say you guys able to bring it home in second. So yeah, well earned, and look forward to catching you again here next week, sir.
Thanks.
All right, Dale. That leaves us one person left to talk to. That is going to be that the 03 of Kevin Hash. However, let's go back. We're going to take a look here at the finish line with that 03 car. So say while we're pulling up that replay coming to the line, let's bring Kevin Hash in here as well. So say, all right, Kevin. So how confident did you feel there coming to the end that you had enough of a nose ahead of that number one of Gabe Butler coming to the line? Because I'm not sure. Did you expect to see him? I guess first question, yeah. Did you expect to see him jump out there at the very end?
And I was sitting there and I was like, I really hope he does because he's been here for every race, and unfortunately it had issues outside the sim and everything to where I couldn't be here the last 2 Sundays. So I was wanting to win to make up for all that, but I was like, I want him to pull out. I want him to be able to get as best of the chances he's got. Now I seen him pull out and I went, oh crap! I kind of wish he was behind me still. But oh man, I'll be honest. The second he pulled out was the last time I looked at the mirror, and I just stared at the relative screen the whole time going through the trial. I was like, I'm gonna try to offset off the yellow line just a little bit up, so I have a bit of a chance I can cut it back. And then I didn't even notice Ray had bumped me coming right toward the line. I didn't even I had no idea. I was completely zoned in on that little black box on the right hand of my screen. But my 004, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better race again. So that was definitely one of my career highlights.
Yeah, that was definitely a wild finish. Like I said, that one little bump by Ray may have been that enough just to propel you that 4,000th you needed. But I mean, you were in contention, so you were able to kind of get through unscathed with the whole pit road drama. So you were able to get through it. So obviously the only downside of that was you were kind of off on your own for once. You didn't have any of your buddies with you. So at that point, did you feel like you might be kind of the odd man out there on that final stretch before that caution came out?
Man, I'll tell you, one of my favorite colors is yellow, and I looked around, the 4 cars around me were all yellow, and I knew every single one of them was probably like, I'm going to beat this guy. And I'm like, it was fun. I enjoyed it. Just the ability they had to overcome and come back up to us just proved what they had. This whole team, like I said, every week it's noted that, we can hold our line, we can work together great, but the ability to adapt and overcome and never count ourselves out is the biggest thing. If we still got a clean car coming toward the end, we know anybody in this stable, especially if we are together, has probably the best chance out of everybody. So I knew they were going to be able to possibly catch up, just depending on how everything went. And then, just the way everything unfolded to where I could get lined up with them, I knew I was in the best position. But without them, I'll be honest, I was trying to weigh every option. I'm like, all right, well, it's the 10 car going to go with me? Is Todd going to go with me? And I'm like, well, surely they had to be tired of seeing us win. So I feel like I'm against everybody in this 4-car group. So I'm going to have to pull some Days of Thunder stuff out of my hind end. But I hated to see what happened to Jack. I know he was in a great position there at the end. We were drafting good together. I don't like seeing anybody get torn up, not have a chance to win. But, being able to work with the guys I'm with and have us finish 1 through 4, those of us that didn't have any issues or anything else, it's definitely, it's great company.
Yeah, I was saying that's exactly right. So if you get your guys together, it's gonna be tough to beat, and that's what we saw in that final restart. We see you guys lined up like I think it was 1-3-5 on the inside line there, maybe even 1-3-5-7. I'm not sure. And so when you see that, you just know, like, I'm sure when you saw where you guys lined up under that yellow, you're feeling pretty good about that final restart too.
Oh yeah. The second Ray called it out, I'm like, we should, especially being able to have the inside line, the more preferred line, really, and everything. And then I watched Quick and Merkel start drafting up on the outside, and I went, this thing ain't over yet. And then luckily, just Gabe being just glued to my back bumper those whole last 2 laps, we were able to get enough big enough gap to where he could go for it. And that was my big thing. I was like, I want him to be able to have just as good of a chance to win as I do, because he's been here every week. I've learned a lot from him. I consider him a great friend, and I would, if it was tables turned, I'd make sure both of us had 1 and 2 locked up before I'd try anything else just the same. So, but I've also got to give a shout out to Larry, who keeps blowing up my messenger here trying to mess with me. Y'all definitely got to make his life more of a pain on his winners interviews. Well, and if he don't win this week, just make sure you may have to throw some shade his way.
Yeah, we got some plans for Larry depending on how his season continues. So yeah, we'll definitely keep Larry on his toes for sure. But that's what's fun about it. Say obviously you've got you and your brother, you got the Hash Brothers Performance sponsoring Larry over on Thursdays. So you've obviously got your stripper glitter here on your car for the Xfinity Series here on this Super Speedway Series, I should say. But like I said, always fun to be able to kind of rib one another, be it like I said during interviews or during the races, things like that. It's always fun to see. So I did notice Larry's a little quiet here on the YouTube chat. I think he's probably trying to avoid me pulling him into the booth at some point in the future. So But man, just an awesome job tonight, Kevin. It was a lot of fun watching you kind of manage the race tonight and keep yourself in contention all night long. But yeah, definitely want to give you the floor though. Any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that win tonight?
I'll do a self promo there for Hash Brothers Performance. Just being able to have something like that to where we can rely on, be able to, even sponsor somebody like Larry and help get the name out. And I've actually had a couple people from watching the broadcast and stuff message, see where we're located and stuff. And unfortunately, a few of them that were wanting some stuff done may have been too far away and stuff. But, you guys with the broadcast, it ain't said enough how great y'all really do compared to a lot of other broadcasts out there. And I always enjoy watching them back when I get the chance. And, I kind of feel a little bit too self-centered if I watch them when I win, but I feel like watching toward the end here and you guys call this one will definitely be a fun one to go back and watch. Just the whole team, not enough is said about Gabe, Ray, Quick, Dale, Dude, Eric, all of us, BJ, I feel like every one of us has a chance to win any given Sunday. I hated that I had to miss a couple weeks, but we'll see if we can't try to make the rest of them for the rest of the season, because it's even on a bad finish night, it's always a blast with these guys. So, and Charles, Jim, and all these guys for putting it on with the league. Wouldn't happen without those guys. They do a lot of work in the background that isn't fully appreciated. So I'll make sure to give them a big shout out as well.
So I'm sure very appreciated by them as well. And yeah, I mean, just awesome job by you guys tonight. It was a lot of fun there. Like I said, that end was definitely a wild one for that finish. So yeah, enjoy it. Feel free to watch it, even if it feels like you're kind of an ego boost, whatever you want to say. Those are the best ones to watch, in my opinion. So enjoy the win, man. And look forward to catching you again here in the future races.
10-4. Thank you, sir. I always look forward to it.
All right, Dale. While we watch that number 03 celebrate here in the grass, let's go over our final results for the evening. So you see Kevin Hash winning by 0.04 of a second over Gabe Butler in that number 1 machine. Raymond Rittenauer bringing it home in third. Matt Quick for Todd Merkel, a great position there in fifth. Fortunately, just did not have the help he needed there at the end. Kind of like we unfortunately had a suspicion we would see there. But still, I mean, Todd, a great night for him. Kept himself in contention all night long as well. Skylar Brown, 6th. Bud Steele in 7th. Quaby Brooks, Todd Siebels, Michael Spell rounding out our top 10. Bobby Hash finishing in 11th. And Jim Brooks, again, running that modified. He still finds a way to finish in the 12th position. And then 13th on back, you've got Jim Brooks, Mark Brown, Dale Willoughby, Alberto Lopez, Charles Johnson, John Brill, and Dave Thatcher. And then some of these drivers, not the ninths they're looking for either. Obviously, Eric Laurie, Jack Walls was in a great position, but unfortunately that contact finished off his evening. Peter Travica, Robert DuPont, Danny J, Dean Wilkinson, and Donnie Lyons. Well, I don't know much what else to say on that one, Dale. That was a wild one there at the end. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it not really how the races usually go. A lot of pushing and shoving, a lot of guys, just buying for space, and that was part of what comes with running at Daytona.
Yeah, like I said, it's a little narrower, that third lane. You don't really have the opportunity very often to use it, so it's a little gamble to do it sometimes, and so I think that's why you saw a little bit more aggression from some of the guys tonight on that side of things. But yeah, I mean, still, I would say it was going to come down to looks like about a 10-car shootout there coming to the end before that first caution came out. So yeah, just hats off to everybody. It was a lot of fun tonight. Hope you guys all enjoyed it as well. It was a lot of fun. Congrats again to our top 3, Kevin Hash, Gabe Butler, Raymond Rittenauer. And of course, we'll be back on Tuesday evening for the Indy Series over at Moseport. That's a lot of fun there. A lot of elevation change very fast. You got to be super committed there. So Steve and I will be broadcasting that one. And Dale, as always, a pleasure, sir. Look forward to catching you on track on Thursday night with the Premier Series, and of course back in the booth next week on Sunday.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, so hope you all enjoyed the race tonight. Congrats again to all of our finishers. A lot of fun, and there's plenty more of that to come. Like I said, 4,000ths of a second was the difference this evening. We'll see. Maybe Indy's going to try to find a way to make a wild finish at Mossport. I suspect it won't be in the thousands this time, but I would not be surprised to see another one of those finishes here on the Superspeedway Series. So until then, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you all on Tuesday.